Whoa. What the heck? Just happened there? Get my points back. Give me them back. Give me them back. I'm on the rise now. I'm on the rise.
Universal harmony by my hand.
Jackson, welcome, man.
G'day. G'day. Welcome to you too. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, you took my line. Sweet, bro. Yeah, thanks for coming on. Hope I didn't take you away from a busy schedule.
So busy.
What's been going on, man?
Well, nothing. Yeah, you carry on.
Yeah, nothing. Because you're in your bathrobe and everything. You're asking, do you
Yeah.
mind if I'm in a robe? I'm like, yeah, no, sure, why not?
That clip, I was in a robe as well. Same robe. Probably not the same shirt. Maybe even same shirt.
Oh,
I haven't gone changed since then. It's my first. That was my first win, actually, ever.
Wait, was it really?
No,
Hey.
but celebrate it like it
Celebrate it.
was.
Cool. If you could, would you be able to introduce yourself for those who may not be familiar with you?
Okay, my name's Jackson. I'm part of expansion and Flightless and New Zealand and the NZFGC. I like games, and I was born in Wellington, New Zealand.
And what is it like being in Wellington compared to, like, say, Auckland? Would you say that Auckland gets a little bit too much attention? It's a bit overrated?
Yeah, Auckland sucks.
Okay, well, we'll just end this right now.
Yeah, no, I don't like Auckland. Given that I've only been to like the normal places that people go, especially when I'm going up for tournaments or whatnot, which tend to be off Queen Street, so you only see like the city centre type. Like, I haven't been to the other suburbs really. Maybe I've been to a bar or so out in the middle of nowhere, been walking around the waterfront drunk, but
Yeah.
yeah, but nothing else really. So I haven't really had a good overview, but the city of Auckland feels a lot worse than the city of Wellington. Maybe because it's like a lot more busy, a lot more people.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's learn more about you. So, I asked you, like, what are some things about you? You said you're into soccer and basketball.
Yep.
You don't like coffee, but you like coffee ice cream.
Yeah, so I don't know. Coffee it's pretty gross, but add some sugar to it, especially if it's ice cream or chocolate. It's way better. It's got a weird. It's the balance, I guess.
Okay, so, like, you're not into cappuccinos, not flat whites, mochas, nah?
Like I'll have a mocha if someone gives me one for free, but I'm not paying for one. I used to get like when I was trying to be cool when I was younger, people would go to Starbucks and shit, and I would just get a frappuccino or something. But where's my frappuccino, man? Yeah, but nah. Now it's just coffee ice cream. Coffee ice cream's really good, and chocolate coated coffee beans from like Lafare. Those are really good as well.
Okay. And there is
For
one
me,
thing.
they're really good for me.
They're really
right?
good for you, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, I prefer instant coffee. I'm not really a bougie guy. I won't get a coffee from a cafe.
Oh.
I'm really basic, man. Yeah. When it comes,
What's your brand? Special blend? Do you like special blend?
Jed's coffee or Nestle dry roasted. Nothing special.
Okay, the green. Is that the green packet?
Yep.
Okay.
Damn, he knows. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was also something you mentioned you like. It's Willy Wonka. God, I'm trying to get the name right. Willy Wonka Fabulous Strawberry Twister. I mean, it's basically a red licorice, right?
Yeah, it's red licorice.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they're really good. But for me, once again, they're probably my favorite lolly outside of. They're probably on par with alligators or smileys if you've ever had them. Like they used to be in schools.
Yeah.
But whenever someone asks me what do I want for Christmas, what do I want for a birthday, now that I'm older, I can ask for that and I'll actually get it. And they'll usually get like a $30 or $40 box of just red licorice, and I'll just munch it down for like a month afterwards.
Did you ever get
really
into
fat?
Did you ever get into those what they call them, nerds? You know, those like mixed packets where it's like one side's like blue, one side's red, and you just different flavors.
Well, I had some, but I'm pretty cheap, so I'm a pretty cheap guy. So if someone gives me something, sure, I'll have them, and they weren't terrible, but I probably wouldn't buy them, even for nostalgic purposes.
So have we discovered that's your MO? Like, in terms of you'll wait for someone to buy something and then you'll go, oh wait, where's mine? And then they buy it.
No. I'm not that kind of guy. But if someone's got something and they offer it to me, then sure. I used to not accept really anything that was offered, because I thought I was being polite. But it's actually way more polite to accept something if someone offers it to you, because they're offering it. They're offering it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I've already said, do you want some? they've offered it to you like they're willing to give it away.
Yeah.
And then to decline it, you're sort of like, no, I'm too good.
Yeah.
I don't want your trash nerds.
Well,
I'll wait for my red licorice.
Well, you seem I'd say you're quite humble. Like, you're very easy to approach, easy to talk to about various things. Do you think that's how other people see you in the wider FGC?
Nah, they probably see me as like a stuck-up white dude who doesn't talk very much.
Stuck up, no. White, yes.
Yeah, one of the truths in there. I don't know how people see me. Don't really care. But what I do care about is making people feel like good, or if they come to Rambats or they come to an event, they feel like I notice them or I see them and I know who they are and I remember people's faces. Not very good with names, but yeah, I guess. Is it humble to say you're humble? That's not humble, right?
Well, I mean, I'm saying you are, and I think there'd be some people that would second that. So how do you come across the fighting game scene? Like, were you into games at all growing up?
Yeah, I played a lot of games. Well, I tried to. I guess started when I was quite young, and we had one console. I can't remember what it was. It was probably like a 64 or something. And just GoldenEye and other games on there.
GoldenEye. Yep.
Yeah, and then just throughout the years, just playing. And my dad's been quite a strategy kind of. When he did play, which he didn't play very much, but he got me onto StarCraft, and then I had a huge StarCraft stint, and then Warcraft and whatnot. And then to this day, he still plays a bit of Civilization when he can. He's a Civ 6 now, but it's getting a bit too complicated for him. But I never really played fighting games. I played Tekken maybe like twice. I grew up in Martin, which is in the middle of nowhere. But I had a friend called Adam who had Tekken between 1 and 4, I guess. I think I was probably like 7. Okay. I don't know the number, but yeah, just played it a couple of times at his house and never really felt the interest in it. And didn't really touch fighting games until maybe, or even feel about fighting games until maybe the end of Street Fighter 4.
Yeah.
And I was watching a lot of Marvel 3. Really liked watching it. Really liked watching Street Fighter 4 as well, but didn't know how to get into it. And then I bought, on TradeMe, I bought a secondhand version of like BlazBlue for Xbox 360.
Yeah.
And it never showed up. And I was like, damn. And then for a bit, I just didn't have any fighting games to play. And I think it was maybe Mazza. He may have been the first person that got me onto Street Fighter 5. Maybe. I think I bought it, but he was really good from the get-go. Yeah. And he was beating my ass. With Laura, I think. And he was always above me from the start. And I think it was just from there that I just felt Street Fighter 5, I guess. When did that come out? Is that 16?
2015, I think. 15, 16. Yeah.
I'm a 15er, I'm a 16er. And yeah, since then, fighting games have been the best thing ever.
Because you said you got into it during Street Fighter 4, and that brought back the FGC. That was such a big time for the fighting game scene. Did you ever look at other games thinking, oh, I might try this or I might try that?
It was basically Street Fighter 4 and Marvel 3. I just watched them, watch tournaments, watch YouTube clips, slowly get an understanding, but never really have an understanding.
Yeah.
And I didn't touch them until after playing Street Fighter 5 for a long time. But those are what got me in, and just seeing like Chris G do some crazy shit with Morrigan.
Yeah.
Since then, Chris G's always been my guy. No matter what kind of shit he gets into so much trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, just watching him play Marvel 3, it really got me into it. So from there, I exploded into the fighting game scene. Somehow came to this position.
Yeah. Well, before you got that, did you ever compete? Did you ever experience a tournament yourself?
Nah, not like an offline thing. Like maybe, I think on StarCraft you had BattleNet, and you had I guess StarCraft's probably the closest thing I ever had to 1 versus 1. A competitive person versus another person, because you'd go into BattleNet, go on versus someone else on dial-up, and then go just go at them. And that was probably the most competitive thing I'd done in gaming since going from StarCraft, when maybe I was like between 10 and 14, and then to however old I was.
Yeah.
Street Fighter 5. So no, I never went to any tournaments. I watched a lot of tournaments, but I never had any offline experience. To this day, I still get I get sweaty even if I'm sitting down.
Yeah.
It's it's an anxious thing to play offline, but that's also what's so good about it.
So, what made you become a TO? I mean, we'll essentially touch on to expansion, but what actually, the life of a TO, what made you go down that path?
It was mainly seeing Street Fighter 5. A lot of the players, older players didn't really like the game as much as what they liked previous games. And so I could slowly see a decline in them being less interested. And because Season 1, Season 2, Wellington Ramets was kicking off. You had all the strong players were there constantly for Street Fighter 5, and it was blasting. And I remember getting smoked by Jabu and by Reap. I think AJ came in and just wiped me so badly with Belrog or Birdie. And it was all big laughs and whatnot, because I didn't have a clue. But I just saw the slow decline, and there wasn't really anyone who was going to step up except maybe JB, because John Scully, Jay Skulls, was becoming more of a family man, and didn't have as much time. So I just saw it. Okay, maybe I'll do what I can. I'll see what needs help with, and eventually I meddled my way into becoming one of the TOs, I guess, of Wellington FGC.
Yeah. Are there some people that you credit to your help during that time when you were trying to find your feet?
In TO or just playing games?
Oh, in TO. In TOing.
Probably just JB and John. They're helping a lot. But obviously, as soon as I learned about Dave and reached out to Dave, he had all his info that he would just blast onto me, and I'd just absorb it. There's not one unfriendly person who's a TO, right?
Yeah.
Your goal is to make a fighting game good and your community to enjoy it. So it's always an exchange of information. If someone wants to do something or wants to know something, you give it out for the greater good, or you share with them. So I guess you could say every TO in New Zealand has helped me. Yeah, but sorry.
No, you go, bro.
In terms of Wellington, yeah, I'd say JB and John. JB normally keeps me down to earth because, or now known as Johnny Business. Sorry. My brain just comes up with lots of silly ideas, and he's like, "No, that can't work. You're thinking $1 million projects." It brings me down to the thousands of dollars, not the millions of dollars.
Yeah, well, I mean, the fact that you have an idea, I think every idea is encouraged, like regardless of how silly it is.
But yeah, I guess those people in terms of TOing.
Yeah. With, like, do you find that there are different vibes when you TO the various games? Like, certain things that happen in a Street Fighter bracket compared to what happens in a Tekken bracket?
Oh, different things that happen. Well, at the moment, Tekken has been popping off a lot more than Street Fighter, so I would say Street Fighter bracket just runs really easily because there may only be 6 to 10 people entering in terms of Wellington. So that'll be the main difference. In terms of personalities, not really. Everyone is really cool. What more? Do you want to expand on that a bit more?
Oh no, just, well, I guess an example would be a lot of players who play Tekken and Street Fighter. Some will have Tekken as their preference, their dominant. So if the Tekken bracket goes too long, or if it's taking a while to kind of complete, they may drop out of the Street Fighter bracket, and then you end up with less players throughout the night.
Oh yeah. I guess that happens, but we tend to run pretty on time at Rambats. We normally go from about 12, brackets start at 2, usually finish about 6. You've been there, I think you've seen it.
Yeah.
There are some things that hold up brackets. There's the cross-pollination between Smash, Rivals of Aether, Tekken, Street Fighter, even Dragon Ball. And often people will play more than one fighting game, so that happens, and it's not something to like say no, you can't play more than one game, but that can sometimes be a hold up, and people will choose their main game over another game. I say someone's doing really well in the Tekken bracket, maybe they'll pull out of Smash or they'll pull out of Street Fighter and vice versa.
Yeah. Now, I've thought that commentary is quite an important, and it's not a skill that, like, you need a lot of practice, I guess, in order to be good at commentating. Yeah. Would you say it's the same thing with TOing? You need to put a lot of work and effort into it.
Nah. Nah. TOing is just
you just say wing it, right?
You just do the stuff. In terms of commentary, you got to know the stuff.
Yeah.
Like if a commentator is so off, then it's really noticeable, rather than a TO being so off or so out of place or something.
Yeah.
Like there's a fair bit of work that goes into TOing, but like it's not strenuous except for like running a large like day or multiple day tournament. It's just, if you want to play and you want to be a TO, you need to find people to support you, which is something that I'm going to be trying this year, because I still want to play. But
good, great news.
There's been I mean, heaps of people within Wellington FGC have been stepping up and just wanting to do stuff and helping out wherever. So I'm going to be trying to push off more onto them, let them do things.
Yeah.
Because often I'll be playing in a bracket. Meanwhile, I'm in the bracket. I'm updating scores. I'm checking other people's games. I'm looking over, seeing how far they're through, keeping track of everything. Where I guess you could see it as a it's not too good to play like that. I guess I'm not playing at my full, which isn't really benefiting the scene in general or the person I'm versing.
Yeah.
Especially if I am better than them. And because I've got my mind somewhere else, I'm not playing to the fullest, so they're not getting as much experience as they should.
Yeah.
They're not versing someone who is as strong as they should be. So it's something that I want to do this year.
Yeah. No, I'm aware of that, man. The team tournaments that we run, I won't enter them clearly just because there's too much on my mind. And as you said, you can't really play, I can't play to the best of my ability. I do remember one Nats though. I saw the TOs struggling not to start the bracket, but just to keep it going. There were so many matches they had to go through, and so I just jogged outside and I was just helping them out and everything. It's really hard to get players orchestrated in a routine when they're just like standing around talking and they'll be like, oh yeah, just we'll play when he gets here. It's just like, no dude, sit at the setup, like you are up.
Yeah, that's something that you almost have to instill in people, and people are good at that in Wellington now, since we have access to large screens at Big Uni that I can chuck the brackets up and they can see the brackets so they know what they have to play. And some people are really proactive, sometimes too proactive.
Yeah.
They play the game way before I think they should have played the game. But I think it comes with information. Like, you need to have information readily accessible to the players to be able to expect them to do something to play. So rather than being on their phone or checking, some people aren't very assertive, especially a lot of gamers aren't very assertive. So they're not going to do something that they think maybe looked down as being negative. And a lot of people look up to TOs, even though we're just normal people.
Yeah.
So they don't want to really... they might think they might get on the wrong foot of a TO, or they might think they might do blah, blah, blah because they start the game. So that's often why people wait, I think. But also it's initiative.
Yeah, well, for me, I think some people, they just expect that once they overplay their freedom before their match, they'll think, oh, the TO will just grab me when it's ready. As you said, just being proactive. Something I suggested to you was having like a QR thing where people could scan it with their phone, because everyone's on their phone.
Yeah.
And then that way, if it could let them know when their match is going to be, or just better time management. Yeah.
Stuff like that is good to do and good to know for the players, I guess. And that's what you want to do. You want to have people having fun, enjoying it, also not wasting time. Because say we were only doing 6 hours every fortnight, you don't want to be spending 30 minutes to an hour of the day just sorting people, finding you go play there now, you go play there. Like, it'd be much more efficient if it was all laid out easy and people knew what to do and knew when to play, and I didn't even need to do anything.
Here's a typical scenario for you. Oh, Jackson, how long till I have to play? Because I felt like just going to get some food, eh? Like, I'll just be back in like 30 minutes. Is that all good?
Yeah, that's terrible. I got to call out David and Dio. They're the worst. They go out. I mean, I'm sure one time they went down to Tank or Subway and they got in a fight at Subway or something, and ended up being like an hour late back to the bracket. Or
Why did they?
I didn't even know. I didn't even know why they. I don't even know why they went. But some people just disappear, which is fine. Like, I don't have control over everyone. If you need to go for a smoke, some people. We won't get into it too much, but people have things that they need to do in their life, and smoking's one of them.
Yeah.
So it's not my job to tell you, oh, you can't go toilet, or you can't have a smoke. It's just, if you're, why the hell is your smoke taking 10 minutes?
Yeah.
I smoked before. It doesn't take 10 minutes to smoke a cigarette.
Chain smokers, man. Chain smokers.
Maybe they're doing like 3 or 4 at once. I don't know, but that can be a pain, and because you then have to go find them or send someone to find them, especially if I have to go out and find them. Now I can't find them. Now I've got to come back, and there may be more questions for me when I get back. But that's just life.
Yeah.
It's up to me as a TO to sort that and stop that happening. Before I can complain about people doing their own thing.
And now we have a vision of expansion. The name, the bird, caw. So, yeah. Like, I've never asked you. Yeah, how did that come? How did you decide on the name, the bird, the mission?
I should have, if I knew you were going to ask, I could have pulled up some old logo designs for expansion. But
or you can mention it. I mean, was it originally a Kiwi? Was it originally...
Nah. It was when Crush Counter, the first one happened, it was like a pad. It was half a, like, old school SNES or controller, and half a DualShock. That was like the logo mainly, and then it had an X in between the D-pad, which was meant to be expansion, and there's that expansion across there, with the X and the D-pad being the expansion. But eventually, through using other people's talents, it became a Kiwi. So originally, it was just expansion because I wanted to expand gaming and esports, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll go with that. That basically explains what I want to do, and I can be like, yeah, we're expanding gaming in New Zealand, and that is just like a one-line thing, expansion. But then Kiwi happened, and I really liked the Kiwi. So it eventually got away from the name, which is what brought us to here right now, or current day. But yeah, I saw there was nothing really happening. Well, there was stuff happening, but why not be a part of helping create or benefit New Zealand gaming and esports?
Yeah, I think it's great because it wasn't just the fighting games you touched. You were touching like the big mainstream games like Fortnite, Rocket League. You said you were watching a lot of Rocket League stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, we had a Rocket League team for a bit.
Yeah. How was that? How was it managing like a Rocket League team compared to typical FGC players?
Well, we've had a couple teams, and mostly for the first like 3 years of expansion, I did everything. So I had managing teams, sorting out problems, getting scrims, signing them up to tournaments and whatnot. And it's a lot of work. And it's I mean, if you've ever done something like that, you can see why coaches and managers need to be a part of a team, or should be. And if players are getting paid, managers and coaches should be getting paid just as much. Because most gamers are they're terrible. They can't organize themselves, let alone 3-4 others. So
totally agree.
A manager or a coach is definitely needed. So it's different because first started off in fighting games and went to then went into League of Legends and had really good results in League. So I think we had probably the best team in New Zealand for a bit. I don't think that's even disputable. Obviously not in Oceania, but the players were all young. They were all either still in school or just out of school. Now there's been 2 of them who have competed at semi-pro level. It was a really good bunch of people, and then there were problems, and every team has problems. So that's what I had to try and solve, and it's not something that I had really solved before, apart from in a job. But I never really had disputes between 2, 3, 4, 5 people to fix at once. So that was like I guess it was a different experience.
Yeah. At the time, who was helping you?
It was just me.
Oh.
So we could say between 2017, 2018, it was me. I was doing the stuff. I was putting money down. I was supporting the players in whatever way I could. As I said, finding scrims, finding games, and that's something that I feel is quite tough with fighting games.
Yeah.
And I have left it a bit on the edge for the fighting game players in expansion. Because it's not like something that we really talk about. We play casuals, or you ask for games, but it's not like a training schedule or a layout schedule for players, which really needs to be a thing, and I really should have been onto it earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we had heaps of teams. I had Overwatch team, had a Rocket League team, League of Legends team, CSGO team.
Yeah.
They were pretty good.
That game still goes strong.
But that was me just figuring all that shit out. I had to find out how to run a CSGO server, open one on Amazon S3 servers, because they need to practice, and that's where you find, like, okay, now CSGO players, they don't have permanent servers like many other games. Now they have to, like, pay for servers and stuff, and so that's why you've got fees to enter tournaments, like the LPL and the, I can't remember the other names, but yeah, CSGO it may be free now, but servers are still cost to have servers and whatnot.
Yeah. I know that you've made the change now, currently, that it's still FGC, the org with its, with the players and stuff, and that's what you know.
Yep.
You've also partnered up with BROS to do that school program, the esports school program. Where is that in terms of implementation?
Okay, we had a really good plan. Roslin's done so much work on it, a ridiculous amount of work. And we just happened to cross paths, talking about stuff, talking to him about expansion. Sorry, I need some water.
No, you're all right. I'll get my tea.
Yeah, we just happened to cross paths, and yeah, he had already put in a fair bit of work, and at the same time, I was doing a similar project, but I hadn't done the teaching side, and because I'm not a teacher, I don't really know what goes in it, and somehow we stumbled upon each other's paths, and linked up, in all of the work that I had been doing, then could, I guess, essentially, school sense, cross-credit into each other, and that's what came to be the esports in schools, or school esports. And this was really early 2020, late 2019, and we were looking to pump it. We weren't pumping and dumping, we were just pumping.
Yeah.
In early 2020, and then COVID hit, and it just messed everything up. We had plans for rollout when the pilots were finished, going for council and school college, I guess, getting the okay with it to actually roll out to more schools, and we had big plans for it, but then COVID really took its toll on it. So right now we've got 2 pilots running. They both got halfway through last year, but because of COVID and all the extra work teachers had to do, it's not something I really want to put on to more teachers, especially if they're passionate about gaming and esports, but you don't want to burn them out when they've got schoolwork anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think hopefully this year it'll kick off really well.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think is a blowback that you guys might face in terms of putting this plan in action with schools? Like parents not being too warming about it, or teachers not being accustomed to this kind of education?
Yeah, so there's lots of things, and that goes into building the project and trying to figure out as many negatives and blockades that we will have. So even just running it by family members can give you a fairly good reaction to how some parents and some people will feel, because I probably shouldn't talk about my family, but
Hey, if you want to, I don't mind.
my auntie, I guess you could say she's traditional. The kids don't really, they've only just now gotten phones and such. They don't really watch much TV. they don't play games. They've all got physical activities that they do. One's a really good gymnast. The other plays like pretty high level netball. But whenever you get a kid on an iPad or something, or playing a random game, Subway Surfer, whatever you want to call it, their focus goes instantly to that. And I think she saw her kids deteriorating in some way in terms of communication or whatnot. So she sort of limited them to the games. And so when I mentioned it to her, she had a lot of points, I guess you could say, that why, what does it benefit? Because she's coming from a point of view where games are basically sports.
Yeah.
You don't play video games, or there's no educational side to them, or there's no learning side to them. So she didn't have an open mind to it, which is what you're going to face. So it was good to hear what she thought, so I could then find ways to counteract that, or not counteract that, trying to understand their thinking and apply our thinking to teach them, I guess.
Yeah.
And it may be called esports in schools, but the job is to teach parents and teachers first, because kids can be adaptable so fast.
Mm-hmm.
But if your teachers and parents and your caregivers aren't on board, then it's never going to go. So initially, teach your teachers what you're doing, and your parents inform them on what it does and what are the benefits. But we've figured this project is better suited to someone who actually is involved, who knows about esports, knows about games, has played them. So our first idea was maybe about teaching teachers how to teach it. But we've all had a shitty teacher, one, who just doesn't seem interested or knows much about the class, or is just given it. Man, when I was first studying mechanical engineering, my teacher he'd never taught anyone, and he's teaching a diploma class for mechanical engineering.
Yeah.
And he had never done any teaching classes before. Sure, he did mechanical engineering as a job, but that doesn't mean you're a good teacher. And if we're now telling a teacher who doesn't know esports, doesn't know about games, they're not going to be interested, or not going to be giving it the same passion that someone who is.
Yeah, the information isn't going to be conveyed with the same level of experience. And it's going to come with their own point of view, despite how, like, matter of fact they're just trying to be in terms of delivering the information. You want it from people that know. Yeah.
So that's where the direction we're going. So the idea is to get Brosnan doing it full time, enough that he can have I'm coffee so he can have, as long as it's got sugar in it, if he can get the same pay or more than what he's getting currently to be able to support his family, pay his bills and whatnot. It's a huge ass muffin here. So that's because he knows it back to front. He knows the project back to front. So he's got the most passion about it. So you might see this huge moth just flew.
If it just flies on
like
camera, yeah.
It's like the one from oh shit. It's the one from like Godzilla. So anyway, Brosnan's the man for the job. And I wouldn't want to give it to anyone else unless he's comfortable with them doing it.
Yeah.
So the goal is just to get it all rolling with him being able to roll it out, and not interfering with like his family and whatnot. So there are some difficulties in that, but you make it work for something that is a startup that may benefit New Zealand or the world incredibly.
Yeah, and I do wish that the project actually lifts off and schools start like taking it and applying it, putting it in practice.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of schools try and get on board, I guess, because they notice that kids aren't paying attention as much, or they're leaving school early or whatnot. Because, I mean, hell, you could make 10K in a day playing Fortnite, and that's not even streaming. But if you can somehow show teachers and parents and adults that this will be beneficial in school, and it will teach the kids who are already adapted to this technology. Hopefully we'll get there one day, and the old farts will be like, hey, this is actually not a bad idea.
No disrespect to parents who don't get it.
yeah, but
yeah,
hopefully
there's
always good to have hope.
All in time, my dear friend.
Mm.
So now, are you happy with the journey, the life of expansion? It's still continuing, but in terms of what you guys have done, like, do you look back and do you feel like I'm happy with how we went, how like our journey?
Nah, not really, to be honest.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I feel like I haven't accomplished very much. But there's only so much you can accomplish, and not everything goes the right way from the start.
But bro, that's like everything. You always think you can do more than what you literally have. Expansion has done quite a bit, and I think the biggest thing for me is you had your set of agendas. StandingFierce had their set of agendas. They were known as the FGC, whereas you had your own path to walk, and it was always going to be hard in their shadow, because whenever people think of like gaming, fighting gaming, like, people say expansion, but they think of StandingFierce first because they're like, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, that's sorry, did you hear that? Shit. But that's to be also shit, that's bright.
Oh, bright. Now you're really white.
Oh man. Let's go back to Pinky. That's to be expected though, and you can't sure it's going to be hard work, but Dave and Sol and the team have put in so much more work in plenty years before, so it's sure, it may be hard for me or for expansion to get out of, I guess you could say, their shadow in terms of fighting games. But Dave is very supportive, and he sees the bigger picture. Dave, some people may think that Dave doesn't think a lot, but Dave has a big brain. He's got a huge brain, and he's always thinking ahead. He's always on top, always thinking about the big picture, not the small picture, thinking about the possibilities and ways to work with each other. He does so much behind the scenes that doesn't get seen. So it's not necessarily in his shadow, even though people may see it like that. Like I'm doing my own thing while also supporting the NZFGC. And there was a sick combo there. I love that B-Skill 2 from Akuma. No matter how much people say that sucks, this B-Skill 2 is so cool. Yeah, I wish I could have done way more, but with way more comes a lot of money invested. And it's something that I've found quite hard to support a team that may be so big as expansion without an endless supply of money. So there's a lot of things that I want to do, but they will cost. So it's finding the right path and finding how to achieve things that are possible with my current limitations, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just quickly, prior to this change that's happened, you were like expansion in the last 6-7 months was experimenting with content, like StandingFierce. They do really good tournaments and special events, but expansion really took it further in terms of creating unique content.
I tried. I tried.
I'm just saying kudos.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and stuff like this, which I wish I could do way more, but it takes a lot of work to make videos that aren't just me talking, that are easily consumable. So I think stuff like this are incredibly useful within the FGC, because here in these videos, we're just talking about this one that's on screen right now, but short combo guides that have no frills. There's no 15-second, 1 minute intros that you don't need to see. Everything's there if you pause it. If you go to the description, you can find all the combos in a text form for people who prefer text form. You can see it visually. You see how it looks, so you know if you do it wrong, that's what happens. This is the stuff that we need in fighting games to push it if the companies aren't doing this themselves. Like, it'll be so great if, like, Capcom just did this shit that I'm doing and pay someone to do it, because they'll get so many views. It would pay off itself so quick to just explore every character to the maximum and teach people the ins and outs. But they don't, and maybe it'll never get there. So it's up to us as a community to do this kind of thing. And I've always got things that I want to do and want to achieve. So you showed earlier me doing like a NZ recap of the week, which I really wanted to do every week.
That only happened once, though.
It only happened once. And that's also my problem.
That was a hell of a recap, though. I was thinking, man, that's all I need for the year.
We did. That week was packed, though. And I had to do a bit of research to do that. And it took me a while to make that happen, to make that video. Especially when I'm just doing it myself. And you often hear... It's the saying of when people say, if you want something done right, do it yourself. But I think that saying isn't correct. It's finding... If you want something done right, you need to find someone with the same passion as you. And so if someone had the same passion of creating the same content, it would come out just as good, if not better, with their skills. And you can only do so much with your time. So it's just finding the right people to do the things that need to be done. So, yeah, I would love to be able to just do that consistently. But that's also a me problem, being consistent with video content. I'm not very good with that. And I get hella bored just moving one frame to make it look right, and it has to be perfect for me
to asymmetrical, to make it look...
Yeah, to make it look good.
Yeah.
Getting it centered, and if something's not centered, screw it. Okay, re-render the whole video, take time out of especially when your computer's not very good, and it takes like an hour to render a video. It can be time consuming, way more than you feel like it's worth. And we feel this day, especially in the day of like getting instant recognition, when I'd post, say, like that Akuma video, maybe I would only get 10 views in the first day, and then after I just completed it, I feel like no one's seen it. It's complete trash. I never want to make another video again.
Yeah.
But then you go, wait 3 months, and now you got 10k views or whatnot.
Yeah, it takes time.
You got a certain amount of views, and that's just because myself and other people, we want that instant gratification.
We want that high click conversion rate. Yeah,
and you will get that, but that comes with time and putting in the effort, which do the mahi, get the treats.
Do the mahi, get... Look at this white boy bringing Tere.
I forgot the actual there's an actual Māori saying for it, but I forgot it, and I don't want to butcher it. But yeah, I wish I could put out content every day that was good. But I'm also easily sidetracked, so maybe I'll just be listening to, I don't know, something stupid in the background, and I won't know it swaps over. Now I got Sajam spitting some shit on YouTube that now I got to go look at the video and then I get sidetracked, so I don't finish this thing that I'm doing. So that's me problems.
Well, Fred Astaire said, do it big, do it right, and do it with style. I feel like you and me, we share some similarities with that.
Yeah.
Like once you go in, you go 100% in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, while talking about going 100% in, we're going to bring up Flightless, this rebranding. Now, at first, some people were a bit confused only a little confused, because they saw that there was the rebranding, but then there was still an expansion Twitter. So this is more unifying the company and the team. I mean, you can explain it better.
Well, you can explain it as well.
That's why I got you on to explain
If
it.
people if people didn't know, Jax recently came on board. Not recently, actually, a while ago, to support expansion and Flightless. So he's been doing a bit of work behind the scenes.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, but yeah. So you could think of Flightless as, I guess, the team side, as you think of the big teams, TSM, 100 Thieves. You could think of that as Flightless, where maybe think of expansion as Whitcool's or I don't know, Warehouse, something that's more physical. And hopefully we'll have some more physical things coming this year. But the online side, the Twitter side, the tournaments, the online tournaments, the players, they will be representing Flightless, which is just it's a branch of expansion, and it means there's less confusion, I guess, with what expansion really does.
Yeah.
And also allows us to explore other things while not being held behind by a name or by expansion or by doing too many things under expansion. So I made that expansion tutorials because I wanted to do tutorials, but I wanted to have it separate from just expansion videos. So that YouTube is meant to be all about tutorials, and hopefully it can be filled more and more this year.
Yeah.
With tutorials and teaching, because I've always had a strong passion for teaching or getting people who don't know things, allowing them to easily learn something.
Yeah, because we talked privately about this, and we both came to the conclusion that expansion, it's kind of seen more as the org that runs tournaments rather than focusing on the main objective of its creation, which was to grow esports and grow gaming, competitive gaming, just the presence of gaming overall. And there was also other things like you didn't feel like the name reflected like the actual movement that you wanted to, the movement of what you were trying to do. Yeah, but you wanted.
You could say it still doesn't, almost.
Well, it's still, yeah, but 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 I think we both shared that common thought where it was, it would, if you had something that was solely for the gaming, like the esports brand,
mm-hmm.
and then expansion could be known as the company name, which it technically was, but it was just hard to get people to think of it as an esports company, org, or whatever. Because a lot of the time expansion, when they would message social media, it would always just be, oh, we're going to do this tournament, oh, we're going to do that tournament. It never really focused on players or anything in the esports scene. I'm only just commenting on from what I would see from the outside.
No, but you're right though. So and maybe you'll still see some stuff like that from Flightless, because obviously now we got Dean supporting Arashi. Sorry, Dean. Now running some Tekken weeknights. He's doing really well, bringing his own twist to it.
Yeah.
And it's something that I struggle with, just being a person who cares very little about social media but knows the impact that social media has on a brand. So yeah, more funny stuff hopefully, and the name Flightless it can be played off a lot more than expansion. We can't just talk about our stomachs expanding as we're becoming old gamers. You got so much to play off with Flightless, or the name, or the logo, or anything about it.
Yeah. So
it's trying not to be too serious, because we used to just put out serious tournament tweets, sign up, and you wouldn't get so much traction off it. As you say, we're just a tournament team, which isn't true to what expansion was.
Yeah, not what it was intended.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot more resonance with Flightless through the NZFGC, because the name, the logo, it sticks, and plus the tagline as well really sells. I mean, I suggested the fight or flight thing, and that's such a generic line, but you can apply that. People remember it. I mean, I just thought of it because of the Hook reference. You know the old Hook movie with Dustin Hoffman?
Peter Pan?
Oh, it's an old movie. It's got Dustin Hoffman as Hook and
I don't know.
Robin
Show me his face.
Oh no, but there's a line in it because they're like, you can fly, you can fight, and you can. So it's like, oh, fight or flight, easy, but we can't fly, so we have to fight.
Get that.
Yeah.
We need to get that. Wherever you got that from?
Hook. It's an old
movie
movie
Hook?
from the 90s. You'll find it. Yeah.
Is that not about Peter Pan?
Yeah, it is.
It is. Yeah.
It's got
okay.
Robin Williams as Hook.
I would have seen it.
I mean, Robin Williams as Pan. Sorry.
I'm really bad as names. So like people's names, like full names, or especially actors. I don't know. I only know Kate Beckinsale because she's cool. But then, I don't know. I don't really remember much movie stars, or I'm not very good with names in general. But I'm good with faces, so I would remember faces.
As for the tournament thing, oh sorry, bro.
Go.
No, just as for the tournament thing, I suggested it would be cool to have a guest commentator. It just adds something different. I know Arashi said he wasn't like. I think we all get used to Arashi's voice. But it's good to have him banter with someone, especially if it's like a three-person thing, because you've got the two commentators for themselves, and then Arashi can just purely focus on the setup.
Yeah. It's really good that people are jumping on board, and I think it's helpful because Dean is maybe more approachable or more talkative within Tekken scene than I am, and he's better at the game than me. And knows more about the game than me. So I just really like Tekken. That's why I was running the tournaments. And I saw that no one else really was, and Tekken was really big. And it still is big. So it's good that he can bring his what people know him for, and they're also willing to support him and Flightless in tournaments. So it's really good to have that. And it is quite a bit of work, just being a TO. Instead of being an offline TO, you're an online TO, and you can only communicate through voice or text, and text takes a lot longer to get your point across or tell people to do things, especially if you're adding people or changing the bracket. So it's good to have commentators, in that sense.
Yeah. Tell me, what was the most funny tournament you've ever hosted, when you were running it?
Oh, most funny tournament?
Oh, it could just be a funny thing that happened to you off camera or on camera.
Oh, online, offline?
Online, man.
Online.
We see your face on the cam.
I don't know. There's been a lot of good times. Not very many bad times. As when I stream, I always turn off. I turn off viewers. That's like the one thing I always do, because I know just from me as a person and what it's like these days that, as I was talking about instant gratification, but I prefer to get a feeling of just being there, doing a tournament, not caring about numbers. Makes it a lot more, I guess, a lot less stressful. It's just like you're there talking to random people in chat. And just having fun with the game rather than focusing on the numbers game. So I think most tournaments there would always be something crazy or something funny that happens, but I'm not necessarily a person who knows heaps about Tekken. I've learned about it from hosting the tournaments, but often I'll be like, nice, he kicks him in the face, or a big running knee, 1-2, 1-2, which made some, I think, someone said that they actually like that. They prefer that over people just being, oh, and he goes 4 and counter hit 4 into 3-4, back 2, blah, blah, blah. Where I just like spurt out, nice kick, bro, or kicks him in the legs, or damn, this gotta hurt, this ankle's broken.
Yeah.
Which is a different style, but it's not what people are necessarily used to.
Well, it doesn't have to be analytical, just... I like Yipes. He's actually one of my favorite commentators because it's just the energy he brings.
Yeah, and he can flow so well.
Yeah.
Like I would say I'm a terrible commentator, but I just do it because I'm there at the moment, and no one else is there to do it. But yeah, Yipes can just he can go on, and it's just hilarious. What comes out of his mouth, what he makes of it. He hardly ever stumbles over words. He goes so well with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's exceptional at commentating.
Yeah.
And there are quite a few others as well.
Who's your favorite, man?
Commentator?
Yeah.
Gotta say my boy James Chin. Nah,
If it's James Chen, that's all right.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty good. I think anyone who starts spitting another language while they're commentating, they do it for me. Whenever someone else is spitting out their natural tongue, it just makes it way more hype.
Okay, so for
when
us, it would be Seb, right?
Like
Yeah.
Seb,
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
Acapella say, "Oh, oh my God!"
It's not like a he's a hype man, Seb. Like you're not like he knows a lot about Marvel, but you then have your paramount will say like Ting, who knows a lot about a game, and you got a good combo there. But everyone loves the hype man.
It's not even just the hype. I love how he knows how to get you hype. It's one thing when it's a commentator who just gets hype and you like that he gets hype, but he gets you hype. That's what I like about Seb.
Yeah, he's good. So I just think, like, and it's cool that they can speak another language. They're such a talent. So props to them on that as well. I just like being a TO. You're always in the background, right? You're doing shit, but
you see everything.
You see everything. You see the cool stuff. You see, just like when I saw that, like even though I made that Akuba video, those B Skill 2 combos still. They get me.
They still get you every time, right?
Yeah.
Well, I've got a few off topics. So like tier lists. I know a lot of people have been making tier lists, especially during COVID, because there's nothing to do outside of online tournaments. Do you think we've had enough tier lists, or because we were talking about tier lists, how people hold them so in high regard? It's so important to certain people or to who they are as players. Like, they believe, and I'm not mentioning anyone in particular, but they believe their character is of a certain caliber compared to another character, or just how they think characters should be viewed and played in general.
Tier lists.
Yeah, do you live by the list, bro?
I do now, yeah.
I mean, if Alex, I mean, where is Alex in terms of Street Fighter tier lists? I have no idea.
He's at the bottom. Yeah, he's at the bottom. I would say I'm more a Raven player than I'm an Alex player now. I've moved on to Tekken to play Raven.
Let's go back. But you like Alex. Why is it you like Alex in Street Fighter?
He's just a really cool dude. You know, he's like sort of homeless, lives in a caravan. He's got nothing really crazy going on in his life. He's just a normal dude with muscles. He's got huge legs. He chops people with just getting smacked in the dome with this, and he's put so much force into it. He's just a dude that is. He's got headbands. He's got suspenders. I don't know. To me, he just looks like a cool dude, especially in Street Fighter 5. I don't really like the design of many other people except for Alex. So he was just the first one that came out, and he's always stuck with me, even though he may be trash and he's got. Just give him something. Give him something, Capcom. But now I guess I do live by the tier list, and people say, like, I know Kim always tells me to just pick one character and play it, which is fair enough, because I should have just played Alex constantly, getting to a high skill level, skill ceiling with them. But we say, okay, tier lists, they're just, some people say, oh, tier lists don't matter when you're learning, which is pretty true if it's your first time, but I think tier lists matter a lot if they're universal, I guess. If people can say this character is this good and everyone agrees, then sure. But it's not about like, oh man, if you're debating on C and D tier, like if a character is definitively like best, you could say like Akuma was like one of the best in Street Fighter for a long time and still almost one of the best. Why would you play another character instead of him if you're playing fighting games to win?
Yeah.
And this is something that JB talked to me a lot about, and his mentality. And it's in the Footsie's handbook, I think. And it's probably in the Daigo book as well. It's you're playing a competitive game to win. Like you're almost wasting your time if you're not playing at your hardest or trying your best to win. Like, why are you competing in the first place if you're not competing to do well? Like, you're wasting your time and you're wasting your, I guess, your skills if you're not competing the hardest you can. And why not pick a stronger character to also benefit that?
Yeah.
So I think tier lists matter. Probably not so much in like 3v3 games like Marvel, or like obviously yeah, you can have Phoenix and you can have like Doctor Doom or whatnot. But say like Dragon Ball, heaps of characters are. I think it's pretty well balanced, and Street Fighter V is pretty well balanced. Tekken's pretty well balanced. Like, we don't have terrible mismatches these days in terms of games. Sure, you may have like a Zangief versus Dulcim, which is notoriously terrible, but as soon as Zangief gets in, like, you've got to guess. Either way, you've got to guess. So, I think tier lists are good for showing the strength of characters versus others.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you have to live by them.
But then would you say that, in your definition, if you want to play to win, you need to choose top tier characters? By that, would you think that players could use that as a failsafe, as an excuse, if they use a character that is mid-tier and well below?
Oh yeah, but that's your fault. It's still your fault. It's still your fault. You lost. You picked a shit character and you lost. It wouldn't matter if you didn't pick a good character. That's
so as
your
soon
fault
as so as soon as that player loses, they shouldn't, like, they don't need to say anything. Like, they should just know.
Yeah, you picked that character. You can't blame it. You can only blame yourself because you went and got your ass beat by someone who picked properly. It's like playing chess and you just only play with pawns. How are you gonna? If all your things are just pawns, you don't have like very good accessibility to do other things. You're limiting yourself by just choosing something shit.
But also, like, if you're using a character that's not S++ tier or whatever, like, that's what I like about specialists, because they dig into the character, they really bring the character's true potential out. It may not change tip the favor in term, or tip the scales in the tier list, but it is nice to actually see, like, in the capable hands of someone who's dedicated, what that character can do.
Yeah, and we'll see that a lot more. We'll see that a lot more today and in the last few years in the latest fighting games. But I mean, you look at even now. So you got like 40 or so characters in Street Fighter and Tekken. I don't know how many you had in maybe like Third Strike or earlier Tekkens. Maybe you had like between 20 and 30. But in Street Fighter, you had like Street Fighter Third Strike. You had like 4 characters that you'd only see, and the rest are character specialists, and they don't win shit anyway. They still get beaten. They're just known as the character specialists, but they don't win because there's so much misbalance behind those games that some characters are so much stronger.
Yeah.
So I guess these days tier lists probably don't matter as much because you can have character specialists. But even going from early Street Fighter V to this Street Fighter V, I feel like because of a lot of the old guard who did practice a lot and were in training mode a lot, means people these days, they don't have that, and we don't practice as much. So you blame it on your character more than practicing and learning the ins and outs of what you can do, especially in a game like Tekken. If I just said like, man, this Kazuya is just doing this 10-hit string against me and I can't get out of it. Maybe playing Raven, I could do like a back 1+2, which has like a back sway. Maybe they'll get me out of it. But since I've never tried it and I just complain about it, I'm never going to find out how to actually beat it because I'm not attempting to.
Yeah.
So it's probably more in terms of practicing, which people don't like doing anyway. No one likes going to sports practice. You want to go to sports play.
Yeah.
You don't want to run around. I don't want to have to run around the field 20 times to be fit. I just want to go out there and play versus other team and kick their ass.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what will happen eventually, and that's probably the way that fighting games are going to go, because only the best of the best in, say, like League of Legends, only they're the ones who are testing things in test mode. They're the only ones who are going into a specialized mode to learn how to do something specific. Everyone else just queues up for ranked. Everyone else just goes to play a game.
Yeah.
And that's the same way fighting games will go. So we may see like a big drop off eventually in a couple of years of people even using training mode.
Yeah.
Which would be sad.
Yeah. I've had someone say that character loyalism is suddenly dying. And with that, what you said is kind of true. If you're playing to win, you will choose a character that's super ultra strong. Why would you want to play like a niche character like Seku in Street Fighter or Lucky Chloe in Tekken? But then if everyone's made too easy to play and you can play everyone at a capable level, the idea of specialists kind of dies, because if you can play this character, like that whole mentality of if you can play this character, you can play everyone. So what's so special if you actually commit time to this one character if he's that general?
Yeah.
Yeah. But like you said, I feel like that could potentially happen. If it does, then, you know, oh well.
Yeah, I guess games, they have gotten easier, but it's up to the devs. I recently started getting back into Dragon Ball Fighters. And you can just play, you can do your standard combo to go through, and maybe you'll get like a certain amount of damage. Or you can do, taking Gotenks as an example, or you can do a quite hard combo that requires quite a lot, and maybe you only get 300 or 400 damage extra compared to 4K. So maybe you only get 4.7 rather than 4.4 or something. You only get 300 damage increase.
Yeah.
But those are the things, because it's way harder, you've got specific timing. You don't, it's not necessarily one frame links, but you got to get your timing completely down to not drop it. And you do that constantly. You have delays throughout your combo. I feel like stuff like that would be beneficial to, I guess, create the character specialists, because you can see it in Tekken. Tekken is also a good example. Like Jin, you got the $100 combo that Aris did and got pretty famous.
Yeah.
And it took him 30 minutes or so to get it. And these people who are extremely good at Jin and main Jin get it every time. They don't drop it. But you only get a tiny bit more wall carry, or maybe get less wall carry for doing this combo, but you get to the wall and you don't get a weird splat. You get a consistent splat on the wall.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess that's the best part about character specialist, is knowing the inside outs and taking better routes. But maybe I'm getting off topic. But
No, it's.
I think.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it depends where we go. Strive looks really good, even though we're not talking about Strive.
No,
Good to get Strive.
We can talk about Strive a little bit if you want.
I just reckon it looks sick.
Yeah, it does look sick, man. Because they've just released gameplay for it. Yeah, it looks good.
I'm probably not meant to say this as a TO, but KOF looks shit compared to Strive. But I will still be supporting KOF.
Well, they've had, the characters have
down.
had redesigns, right? Like, it looks okay. It doesn't look terrible, but yeah, I think Guilty Gear is going to be the one.
Yeah. If we go based on looks, though, man, Street Fighter 4 looked like trash. That game was terrible, and I know people always hate when I say that, but that game sucked. The graphics were shit. One frame links. But I don't know if it's all about graphics, but you're gonna have a lot of the large community are gonna be there on the best looking game, the latest release games. You see people playing older games, but you got like 10 people playing them at once.
Yeah.
Rather than 10,000. So hopefully Strive doesn't die.
No, I don't think it will. We need some more anime games. I mean, Grand Blue's been doing okay, somewhat. It'd be good to get Guilty Gear in there.
Yeah. Oh, there's a couple like Axis are just doing incredibly well, pumping out good looking, I guess, anime games, but they're no longer anime. They're more 3D, but they look anime art styled, I guess. Yeah.
There is one more thing I wanted to mention, something that we're quite keen to talk about tonight. It's about the certain player, once again not naming anyone, who comes to a local Rambats, Hambats, Wellybats quite regularly, and they don't put the time in training, they don't put the time in learning, they get knocked out pretty easy, like they're at the bottom of the barrel in terms of competition, but they'll still show up, like they're still there at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the year. But there's, I don't know, we were talking about it, just the whole fact, like for some people the FGC is a home, it's like a central hub for some people, but they don't have, like in terms of any placement or any kind of achievement they're trying to get, it's not there.
Yeah. I think you said it all yourself though. I think people I mean, we can go into the talent side of things, but it's we can't call it WFG.
Well, we're made up of we're made up of various people in the community. Some are very competitive, some live this game like they live it as if they have they treat this game like Bible, like a religion. This is what we have going in our lives, but then there are other people where it could just be their Sunday golf time, they just come, they just put the time in and then they leave. That's it. Yeah.
I think that Sunday golf is pretty good comparison, except for a lot of white people. Like golf is full of white people, but FGC is full of everyone. And I think that's one of the best things about gaming in general, is it's just full of so many different ethnicities and genders, and just a whole bunch of people coming together that love one thing. And there's no it's not like a small friend group.
Yeah.
It's come on in, play fighting games with us. Even if, I feel bad for it sometimes, not giving certain games, even if they're older games, the time to shine, because we're too busy running brackets. But if they could come, and even if they can just show their game off or play it with other people who want to come along, that's
it could be the same thing with players as well, because you give more time to those that you see regularly, that you're familiar with, and maybe not so much to the people like we've mentioned who kind of get bopped straight away and then just hang around.
It sounds like me these days.
Hey, come on, man. I know you got some fight in you. I know you do.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. But yeah.
Those people should keep coming. But it's up to them to also make the change themselves. Much like a lot of personal things as well.
Yeah.
You can only help someone so much till they want to help themselves. So, we can help them, but if maybe they just don't care about getting better and they just want to be there because they enjoy the environment or they enjoy the people.
Yeah.
Which we shouldn't say, nah. We shouldn't say, you can't be here because you're not trying to improve. else would be called like. I mean, we do call it Rambats, which is ranking battles. So I've now changed it to Wellington Rambats and Meetup because it is sort of like a meetup. And we didn't really touch on anything Smash side, but fuck you guys who think Smash is a fighting game. You're not a fighting game. Anyway.
Why do you think I'm trying to get Smash players on this platform, man? I'm trying to merge the scenes together, finally.
Yeah, they should be. Yeah.
It was,
Anyway,
it was that whole thing about, you know, like, if you're not going to compete, like, we want placement in the scene, whether that be known as a competitive player or known as a specialist or known as someone who can do the sick $100 combo or VT2 combo or whatever. If you're coming to Rambats or any offline event and you're not wanting any of these things, it's like, it's not an arrogant question, but it's a question of why, like, what makes you come here, like. But that
it must be the community, right?
Yeah,
it must be just
like whatever reason. Yeah, we all
thing.
have our different reason. Yeah, I guess that's why. Yeah, that's what we were saying. We like people have their own reason for coming here.
Fighting games are good.
Something really.
Whatever
good.
Taquito, whatever. Is that what he said?
Oh,
Is that what Taquito said? Man, that guy's got a way with words.
something so great. Yeah.
Something so great. Yep.
Words.
Nice words.
Words to live and die by.
Yeah.
All right, Jackson. Are you? Oh, anything else?
Oh. Smash Bros is a good game.
Yeah.
Rivals of Aether is a good game. Don't write them off
Yeah.
as being party games because you play Eddie or Lay and you just party in Tekken anyway. You what's the difference?
Hey, that's a good call. That's a good call out. All right, man. Are you ready for your final round segment?
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, he's keen. All right. How would you compare the Wellington FGC's growth compared to the other cities?
Okay, that's tough because I haven't necessarily been looking at numbers or looking at turnouts, but I would say Hamilton's probably the biggest growth, but also because of the relatively close proximity to Auckland. But in terms of Wellington new players, I think we've had a lot of new people come in the last year. So I think we've been growing pretty decently, but I can't say compared to. I would still say Hamilton would probably be bigger, beating in terms of new people coming in terms of growth. But I think Wellington is doing pretty decent, and always have people applying to. Oh yeah, that's one other thing. The Wellington FGC is set on private, so you got to apply to join.
You have to apply.
You got to apply, okay, and you go through this rigorous test of me checking if you're from New Zealand or not. If you're not, you get a decline. If you are, you get an accept. Because there were a bit of spammers that were coming in and out, but there's normally like 2 a week or so that are coming in, and there's lots of people who don't come to Rambats who are within the Facebook groups, but they talk a bit and they want to play some games. It's just about trying to reach out to them and get them. But I think Wellington's been growing pretty well.
Yeah. All right. What were Expansion NZ events notoriously known for?
Ooh. Damn, this stuff. Online ones, probably me not knowing anything that's going on, or me stumbling over words. In terms of offlines, probably running late to salty sweets. Man, some people move so slow to get to salty sweets, and I get in so much trouble from these places. When I say people are going to turn up between 8 and 10, people start turning up at 12 and they're closing at 12. Yeah, I think those. I don't know actually. I asked people, what are we notorious for? Or I am notorious for. Probably just being shit.
Oh. Hey, don't be too rough on yourself, mate. Alright. Alright, Street Fighter is the game that birthed and still sustains the NZFGC. True or false?
True.
Okay, true.
Wait. Can we go back? Can you say it again?
Street Fighter is the game that birthed and still sustains the NZFGC.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Doesn't mean other games don't do it as much, but yeah. Well, you just said true, so I just say true. I don't need to explain it.
Yep. Alright. Is there a game in general you wish you committed more time into learning or mastering, and why?
Probably Smash. So I can beat people's asses in fighting games like Street Fighter, Tekken, and Smash. So if they talk shit about one of the games, I beat their ass in that game, then I get good at Smash, and I beat their ass in Smash.
Ruthless guy. Alright. If you could go back in time, what's one thing you'd change?
Oh. Damn, there's a lot of too deep stuff that I don't want to get into. Probably picking Alex. Yeah. I think if I picked Alex, I probably would be the best fighting game player in New Zealand.
Oh, man. Okay. What can a player or content creator do to improve their visibility to sponsors?
Ooh. Promoting yourself? Nah. I would say get your friends to promote your shit. Because you need a D Silver in your life. Because
We all need a De Silva.
we all need a D Silver. Like, it doesn't matter what, maybe except for like titty pics and shit, but he will like and retweet your shit. And community support for your stuff is probably a lot better than you trying to shield yourself. Hopefully we see Danny soon.
Yeah. Prayers for Uncle Danny. Alright. Name a moment where someone overpromised and underdelivered.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be that deep. You know, it could be someone brought
Okay.
you a pizza. You know, you asked for thick crust and they gave you thin and crisp.
I mean, it's happened a lot. Probably me giving out Crush Counter shirts.
Well, you can't have yourself, though.
Yeah, I can.
Oh, alright.
I really despise the 2019 Crush Counter shirts because... Oh, let me get into it. Can I get into it?
Go ahead.
I wanted to give a Crush Counter shirt to everyone who signed up early, right? And try and make the entry fee as cheap as possible because I know accommodation and whatnot. And that's just my thing. I think people don't really care too much about sign-ups, but I wanted to give incentive for people to sign up early. But I got these damn Chinese shirts. I ordered like 150 from China, and it looked like they just got like stickers from the warehouse and just stuck it on, and they were just peeling off. And so it turns out you just get a white shirt with a sticker on the front. And I really wish they turned out way better, but they didn't. So I think I underpromised on those shirts, even if they were free. Anyway, if you want to buy some or have some, I'm willing to get rid of them for $5 each. $5 each for a Crush Counter 2019 shirt. Hit me up.
Alright,
I got like 100 still. I got your sizes.
there you go. Alright. Tuatara or Kakapo?
Oh, Kakapo.
Ooh, yeah. Alright. How do you want Flightless to be viewed by other gaming communities?
Your one-stop shop. No. Just a quality group of people who are strong at games in general and want to push themselves to get better, and their community. Damn, that's a lot of words. Good cunts.
Good cunts. Yeah. And finally, who is your waifu? Jackson Charles Bradley?
Ooh. Damn, I never really thought about it. Probably Cammy.
Okay. Yeah. Is it the military thing? Is because she's
No,
got
I think she's just a nice girl.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think she's pretty nice.
Okay.
There's probably a way better answer, but
No, like,
Cammy was my first Street Fighter character, Street Fighter 5. So
Ah.
I guess I chose it for a reason.
Hey, thanks, bro, for coming on.
Thank you.
Hope it was good for you as it was for me.
It was good.
Yeah. Do you have any last words or shout outs? Anything you want to put out there for the people?
Yeah. Make sure you guys are supporting Salt Shakers and Drax
Hey,
and other people who put out
support
content.
Flightless, support expansion.
Support Flightless, but
for
support
sakes.
support everything. Because we're a community and we should be supporting each other. So if you see some shit that, for example, Quran puts out some tutorials, like that stuff, retweet it. I don't know. Support those within the community or the wider community, because through us we can create good growth for ourselves. Yeah. And Flightless. Follow Flightless if you want.